Let's get into the weekend outlook for crypto, where the market might be going and trending, both on Bitcoin, a handful of altcoins. I'll do some charts toward the end. You guys are going to like it. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Thank our sponsor today, and that is iTrust Capital. Looking at long-term holding for your crypto IRA, this is one of the places that you can go. Go over to iTrustCapital.com. This is where you can do your own self-directed trades within your IRA with crypto. So Ethereum, Bitcoin, altcoins, precious metals, all of that available over on iTrust Capital. All you have to do is use our link down below, and you'll get a $100 funding reward just by saying you came over from PBN. So use that, and let's take a look at what's happening in the markets here. Of course, Bitcoin coming in pretty hot right now, if you think about it. Breaking, U.S. spot Bitcoin ETF volumes now have officially topped 50 billion in trading. This is a significant number. And the question is it going to slow down? I've got a clip. Maybe they'll tell us. Listen in.
What's about to happen or not between the halving and everything else, and what kind of interest we're really seeing from the institutional space. Given where you sit and actually the institutions that you're talking to, where are we in that process?
Listen, we've come a long way fast, both in U.S. stocks and in crypto. I mean, crypto, it's almost felt too easy, right? You know, we've gone up almost every day. And so it wouldn't surprise me if there's some consolidation. Right, trees don't grow to the sky. But I think the big story is we've now opened up the institutional, really the RIA community, right? $45 trillion of wealth are managed by brokers. And, you know, we've got baby boomers who own most of the wealth in America, and they're getting their first easy access to Bitcoin. And you're seeing it through these ETFs, the massive growth in a very short period of time in this whole ETF complex. And I don't think that's going to stop.
So Novogratz does hit on a couple of points there. You know, I think that the market, remember, was so nascent. Remember, the entire Bitcoin market under $1 trillion. And if you compare this to just other industries, much less one of the key financial assets around the world in crypto, I think there is a lot of room for growth on these. And he is right, you know, 40 plus to $50 trillion in assets that are controlled by boomers that are really getting their first shot at it. This could really start to, I think, open up, especially as we see more and more narratives around where crypto is going. In fact, here, of course, is Donald Trump coming in. Let me play from this. Listen in.
Isn't the next logical step for you to embrace Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin obviously is decentralized. The government can't get its hands on it. What about Bitcoin with all the young people, including African Americans, who are very interested in it?
Well, a lot of people are doing it. I always liked one currency. I call it a currency. I like the dollar. But a lot of people are doing it. And frankly, it's taken a life of its own. You probably have to do some regulation, as you know. But many people are embracing it. And more I'm seeing people wanting to pay Bitcoin. And you're seeing something that's interesting. So I can live with it one way or the other. I've always liked one really powerful thing, and that's called the dollar.
Yeah.
All right, well, at least it isn't a situation where we've seen someone like Senator Warren, who is absolutely on a warpath to try to get Bitcoin removed from the financial ecosystem. So if we do have someone like a President Trump, former President Trump, actually in the White House that would go the opposite direction of what the Biden administration has done, that's a very positive thing, I think, for crypto in general. So maybe we have something brewing here, or possibly Ramaswamy is in his ear, you know, because Vivek is very pro digital assets going forward. So I think that's a big one. Of course, you think about, you know, treasuries. This, of course, is Reddit. They are filing for their IPO. Reddit says they invested excess cash into Bitcoin and Ethereum and may continue to do so. They're looking at it simply as a store of value. So again, this goes back into the things that we've talked about here on the channel a lot, and that is businesses that are eventually going to understand. I think still we need stablecoin regulation to make that approval. Once that occurs, then I think we might start to see some action moving into some of the crypto assets themselves. I want to go to another clip here that gets into a little bit of what the ETFs might look like within a month or two. Listen in.
You know, how many advisors can actually recommend Bitcoin as a product today versus how many will be able to do that in 6 months from now?
I don't have a perfect answer, but I would tell you at least double in 6 months, right? There are big channels that still aren't turned on, that we know they're going to get turned on, right? We're in conversations with them. these are the big platforms, and like there's an inevitability to it. Why? Because their customers are calling and bitching at them and saying, we want to buy Bitcoin with you. And so then the sales guys who get paid for selling stuff are screaming at their bosses. And so I'm certain it's going to happen. Like, this is not, it might happen. It is going to happen. It just takes time. These organizations are very conservative in general. And, you know, crypto scared the heck out of people 18 months ago. And so there's still scar tissue. You know, it's surprising that we have a approved, U.S. sanctioned Bitcoin ETF, and it's still very difficult for a lot of crypto companies just to get banking services in the U.S.
So as you can see, I mean, Novograt's very bullish on this. If you look over at our own ETF tracker, this of course is our tracking right now for February. Again, BlackRock kind of leading the way there, but Fidelity right behind it in terms of overall sentiment. Interestingly enough, though, we've continued to see numbers continuing to grow in terms of assets under management. So all of this available over on PBN. You can get into the market sentiment index where we do all that stuff. I want to go over to another clip here. This is talking about price predictions of where it might go based on what's happening with the ETFs. Listen in.
You know, when markets get new buyers and start breaking out, it's hard to have a price prediction. I do think we will test the old highs, in a relatively short period of time. And if you take out 69,000, usually you don't go right through the first time. You'll touch them and you'll come all the way back, and you'll be mad you didn't sell something, and then it takes off again. But once you break 69,000, listen, it could measure to 150,000, right? 125,000.
So interesting that still we're seeing that, six-figure mark always tossed around here. And of course, getting to 69K, still a tough one, but Bitcoin has been very resilient at the 50K range for sure. Fidelity's director are now predicting Bitcoin market cap may reach as much as $6 trillion. A couple of points they hit on in the article right here. The projection hinges on Bitcoin's course towards solidifying its position as digital gold and a store of value. He also highlighted that Bitcoin's potential capture as a substantial share of the monetary gold market, estimated around 40% of the world's above ground gold. So I think what they're talking about, would this be a scenario where we would see a lot of shifted of assets? And I think this is one of those things that Peter Schiff may not necessarily like, and that is people coming over from gold and into Bitcoin. I still think that the money is going to come from existing boomer investors that are having their first shot at ETFs. And it's going to open up the query, which is the next step. What else can I buy? And that's going to open up Ethereum. And then it's going to open up the idea of altcoins. All of that, I think, is still coming. Now, there's always downsides to these things. Let me jump to another clip.
If I asked you to make the downside case for Bitcoin, what would it be in your mind?
45,000. 42,000.
And what would get you there?
It could be some regulatory, kerfuffle. It could just be the market got a little long and you get people scared. I don't see that as a high probability. But, we broke out. You can just look at the chart. We kind of broke out from 45. And so pushing through where you broke out from happens often in markets.
So I think for most, the situation of macro economics, what we've seen on the global stage, we still have a lot of things that are happening. However, the narrative around AI, what's been pushing with NVIDIA, still holding up and supporting the market. I think the key here is going to be whether or not the securities market do get and possibly get a major correction. If we do, that again would get back to Novogratz's point, is that that's one of those correction points that we could see. And is that a great time to jump back into a Bitcoin that maybe you missed at the 40K range? Those are the kind of question marks that I think everybody's looking at going forward. Imagine also some of the blue chip assets that would be dropping as well. In fact, here's the CEO of Keyrox. He's talking about really the big show is in these other digital assets. Listen in.
Positive. But I think it should also be put into perspective that the ETFs are kind of a sideshow to actually using digital assets to create value for everyday people and for everybody to to use the concept of digital value being fully digitally represented, increasing decentralization, creating new options towards a financial autonomy. That's the main thing, right? And then you say how can we increase distribution of the asset and allow more people to benefit from price appreciation? It's good as well, but in my perspective, it should not take the focus away from what is the most important. Is like, how can we actually use fully digital representation of value and use that to create something where we have more options, to create and exchange value as individuals.
And I think to the point he's getting at is that, sure, ETFs are going to continue to draw in certain types of capital, but at some point, utility is going to be the key killer app. And when you look at all the different projects out there, whether it's Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, or whichever one you guys like, point is that everybody's kind of going at the same thing, and that is creating utility. You probably saw Uniswap had a massive pump on their token today following this governance fee switch proposal, which is pretty significant in the element of utility. Utility is always, once that a chain starts to figure out its utility model, then you see all sorts of things happening, including businesses getting involved, a lot more projects and devs getting involved. That's the key thing, and I think that CEO is kind of leaning in on. A couple of things that also could be happening right now in the market is NFT Paris happening now. Most likely we'll see a little bit of movement here within the NFT market. I'm interested to see what kind of projects and sort of new innovations that could possibly happen during NFT Paris. Of course, Solana right now, NFTs are really starting to set some new milestones, 5 billion in all-time sales records. So this is another reason I think we're going to continue to see a run on NFTs. Further in to Solana, here of course is Brave, officially going on-chain with Solana. Starting today, users can have the option to receive their monthly BAT rewards to a Solana address that they own. So more integrations, again, gets back to utility. That's a utility token or a utility aspect. Here's another one. We've talked about this one before. Devour is a project that I'm an advisor on, but this is a project that's out there trying to solve the potential for food ordering. Food ordering, very utility based. Another one, they just announced a connection over here with Coinbase Commerce and Solana. So here's another topic right here on Phantom. Proud to be the first wallet supported with Solana address verification on Warpcast, which is the equivalent to a decentralized Twitter. Very effective. I'm out there on it. Follow me on Warpcast, by the way, just Paul Barron. You'll find me over there. But the thing is that they are creating some very interesting tool sets within it. This next tweet right here kind of talks a little bit about it, where they announced that users now can verify Solana addresses on Farcaster through Warpcast, which means you could build these things called frames that are almost like apps within the social media platform. This could be a very interesting use case, again, for utility and all sorts of things, being able to function inside of social. Think about not leaving a social media environment to be able to do something, including a wallet transaction or a food ordering situation. All those kind of things I think are coming to utility. So taking a look at the charts today, we'll take a look at Bitcoin, of course, hovering around 51K, looking pretty strong right now with a little bit of money flow coming back in here. Of course, using our LuxAlgo indicators. By the way, if you guys haven't ever checked that out, you should do it. I use these scripts right here. The signals overlay is a good one. Let me activate that one to give you guys kind of some insights here. It does a pretty good job with giving you some heads up. These are a good take profit X's right here. You can kind of see that right there on that chart. But that's a good example of it in action. Here's Ethereum rolling out. One thing that I've noticed with both our market sentiment index, which is the sentiment data on Ethereum, is it started to flatline and there's a little bit of underperformance on Ethereum. So we may see a pullback here on Ethereum coming soon. Solana, of course, hitting around the $100 mark, bouncing off that $100 number. This is one that has been very resilient too for Solana, as you can kind of see a lot of price pressure right here around the $100 mark. So we're going to continue to watch all these tokens, give you guys a full rundown. But the key here, I think, is these are all positive signs. Positive signs for Bitcoin, positive signs for Ethereum. The ETFs are moving in the right direction. The political landscape might be loosening up slightly, even though I think we still have a lot to go against with Senator Warren. So it's going to be a good one. If you guys are not in our Diamond Circle, make sure and get in right now. It's one of the best places to catch additional content. Catch me out there on X or over on Warpcast at Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.